There are some days where we're making more in 5 hours than we did in a whole month.
What do you think the biggest day ballpark you've ever had sales-wise?
It was over $2,500.
This is Sid. He runs a six-figure coffee truck that's been in business more than a decade. And the crazy part is, Sid runs it without any employees. In this episode, I drive to Boise to meet with Sid and learn how to start a solo coffee business.
When we started out, the build out, it was about $80,000. You need to spend money on the things that are going to make you money.
And here's another surprise. 60% of Slow River Coffee's revenue comes from catering events, not daily service.
The place where you're going to make money is not at a regular stop. Your real money is going to come in your catering.
In this episode of Founder Driven, Sid shares how to start a six-figure coffee truck by yourself, how to find, price, and book the high-value catering clients that can transform your business, and what you must be willing to risk before you get serious.
While you're getting started, you need to know two things. One, how much can you afford to lose? And two,
this is Founder Driven.
Sid, thanks so much for having me and inviting me over to your truck. How did you come up with your menu?
Really, our menu is based upon a classical coffee house menu. Mm-hmm. You know, we do the lattes, the espresso drinks, some chai tea, Italian cream sodas. Really tried to keep it simple. In the food truck world, that's really one of the keys is limit your options on what you have to carry. Because the more you carry, the more waste you're going to have.
When people ask you, how much are you going to make on a coffee truck?
Yeah.
Like, kind of, what do you tell them?
I recently asked a couple questions on Facebook. How much they spent up front, how long they've been in business, and how much they're paying themselves. The overwhelming amount was $15,000 to $35,000 to start up. They'd been in business for 3 years or less, and they weren't paying themselves.
Do you recommend people start out with a consistent location? How do you recommend kind of finding your first spots?
Some of it depends upon what your model is. I mean, if you're serving burgers, working out a deal with a brewery might be a good deal, you know, where you're there once a week. If you're doing coffee, a given location is probably a good idea to get started. If you're jumping into an event and you've got, 8,000 people, 10 to 20% of those people are going to eat. If you've got 8,000 people there, if you got 5 trucks and that's split evenly, you're looking 200 to 250 meals. That's a decent day. So starting smaller, getting comfortable with your product, working out all those kinks is probably a good idea. I started out here, 6th and State, in part because it was an area which was high traffic and visibility. And because of the Boise City rules and regulations, I can't park downtown. I'm just right on the edge of that. There is a consistent group of people here who like coffee. So a lot of the state workers, people who are coming into the Capitol, have become loyal customers. But it's also a place where people are driving to and from. And so they see the truck sitting there. So when they're thinking about, oh, I've got this event going on, or my boss asked the other day about having something special for employees. Oh yeah, I've seen this truck. Let me give them a call. Let me look them up online.
How do you recommend building up a clientele? Like, what are your tips for this? Tell me about your approach.
If you know something about your customers, they're going to care about you and want you to be successful. The real key is that in the food truck business, the place where you're going to make money is not at a regular stop. Your real money is going to come in your catering. Like for us, we do a lot of schools. So we'll do teacher appreciation events. And the principal or the PTA will call us up and say, hey, we've had just a lot going on. We want to say thank you to our teachers. We want to encourage them. And so you build up those kind of things, and you do one, and it goes well, and the word of mouth begins to spread. The key, for me at least, has been in catering is quality, dependability. So I show up when I say I'm going to, or before. I give them a product they're going to enjoy, and at a cost that seems reasonable for the return they're going to get.
How important is catering to the business?
Catering is actually about 60% of our income. In fact, we are moving away here shortly to a catering model, simply to regain control of my calendar. I think one of the things about starting a business is, you know, when you get started, you really don't have much thought about how to get out of it. And when you build a business, you either build it to be successful enough that somebody can come in and buy the business as a whole, or you build it to a point where it can sustain you and then you sell the proceeds.
Hey, this is Brett from Founder Driven. I need your help. Right now, I'm driving across the country meeting with entrepreneurs who will share their story in a video like the one you're watching right now. And I'm looking for founders in Utah, California, Nevada, Oregon, Colorado, and even North Dakota. So if you are someone or know someone with a business that should be featured on here, let me know about them in the comments or hit the resource box below this video for my contact info. This is completely free, but I am looking for people who can share the good and the bad about starting a business and the numbers. So if you can help, you know what to do. Now let's get back to your video.
When you started out, did you start out just operating it by yourself?
Yeah, pretty much I've done everything by myself. My wife will help me out from time to time on some of our bigger events. We've really designed everything so that it can be minimally handled with 1 or 2 people. The equipment I bought makes it possible to do more with less hands. That's one of the keys when you're looking at a small business is, what are you investing in? Are you investing in equipment that's going to make your life easier?
How many drinks an hour do you think you can sell max with one person?
With one person, if I'm taking both money as well as making the drinks, it's probably 40 to 45 drinks an hour.
A lot of people start out with trailers. What is kind of like your perspective on it? Obviously, you went with the truck.
Some people like the trailer, some people like the truck. I've just always liked the truck in that, you know, I'm not worried about extra length. It's easier to maneuver. I think it's a personal preference. I don't think there's one right or wrong way to go.
What's your biggest piece of advice for somebody that wants to open up a coffee trailer or a truck?
Show up on time, provide a quality product, and don't get greedy. You've got to be able to price yourself at a point where people are going to say, this is something I want up front, and I also want to continue a relationship. So when someone's starting out, what I will tell them is, have an idea of what your market is going to be. Go to, you know, check out who you know, find those people who are in HR, business owners or whatever. Go to them and say, I'm starting this business. We're going to do this coffee trailer truck, and we're going to do high quality drinks. Our going rate's going to be $400 for 40 drinks for an hour and a half or 2 hours of time. But because I'm just starting out, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do this at $200 because I want you to taste it, and I think you're going to like it enough that you're going to invite me back. If you start out at $200, you're never going to get to $400 with that company. You can always discount your product to start out with, to offer them a special deal. They're going to like it enough, they're going to see the value in it, and that next time they're going to pay you the $400. But if you start out at $200 and then the next time you come back and they say it's $400, you might get back that second time, but you're not going to get back the third time. And what I try to encourage people to think about too is that if you're doing an event, the only way an event is successful is if it gives you another event. So you should never be at a place where you don't have a business card that somebody is going to say, hey, I love what you're doing. What about, you know, this coming up? And you give them a business card because you're always looking at what's going to come in my calendar.
What mistakes do you see being made by new food truck owners, whether they're coffee truck owners, food truck owners? Kind of what are the things that have stood out to you?
Mistakes I see most often are people expecting too big of a return too quickly, so they get discouraged. You've got to be realistic. So if you set realistic goals, then you've got some benchmarks along the way that you can get there. I see a lot of people who are spending too much money on the wrong things. You need to spend money on the things that are going to make you money, and don't spend money where it's not going to make you money.
How many hours do you think you work in a day typically?
9 months out of the year, this is a part-time job. Probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm usually done by 11, 11:30. Parts of the year are heavy Saturdays and some Sundays. But then the 1st of October, it's pretty much nonstop from there until the first week or two of January. And some of those will be 12, 14-hour days.
What's the most important business lesson you feel like you've learned from starting the coffee trailer?
The most important business lessons that I've learned is that the people you serve really matter. And the more you care about them, the more they're going to care about you. So I try to remember things like one of my regular customers had a sister that was involved in a car accident a couple of months ago. Today I just asked, how's your sister doing? She walked away afterwards saying, thank you for remembering. Those are the things I think that really make a difference. And when you treat your clients like they're important, like their family, they're going to treat you like family. They're going to care about you and want you to be successful. And that's really the key in a small business, is that you want other people to want you to be successful too. So we do a lot of things with the botanical garden because we're battery powered. We're not pulling power off of their grid, and we're silent.
Obviously, if you didn't have the power set up, you'd have to run off of, would it be propane or diesel?
When we started out, we were running a diesel generator,
Okay.
A big 12K generator. Those are noisy, they break down, all of those kind of things. About 4 years ago, we got to know the founders of Jewel Case batteries, which are based here in Boise. They were powering the cash registers at Tree Fort. I've been trying to go battery powered since we started. The first time when we first started building 10 years ago, they said, oh, you can't do it. A couple years later, I asked some other folks about it, and they gave me a quote of $100,000. We were talking with the Jewel Case folks. They said, we think we could do this. And so over a year's time, we spent time, gauging how much power we were using, running numbers, what it looked like space-wise, and they built me out a system that would replace a 12 kilowatt generator, and we were able to run everything silently for 12, 14 hours, depending upon what the event was, how much we were using. We put solar panels on so that we could extend our time. And literally, I would never go back to a generator.
Thanks for riding along on this road trip. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss an adventure. And if you have a founder in mind that we should visit next, drop a comment below. Until next time, keep dreaming big and driving toward your goals. We'll see you on the road.